Hello again. It's been a while. This is Zephyr, and today we're going to be playing some Salt and Sacrifice. Been having some technical difficulties with this video, so we'll see if I can get through it just fine here. We are playing on my mod today. I am playing on my mod. You're joining me. Join me. Watch me. Or don't. Or don't. So just to talk about the mod while we play, some of the things that that have changed. Our blocking is a little bit better, but it won't show up here because the damage and blocking cost aren't changed. This also does not include many of the aspects of the 2023 balance patch. Because the mod predates the balance patch, and many of the things the balance patch tried to tackle were things that I already tackled in the mod, so I just didn't merge those changes together. I kept my original changes. So I actually haven't played a whole lot on the balance patch. I think I've played one time all the way through, but I'm not big into some of the changes. Blocking is definitely a lot better in vanilla now. In fact, it might be better in vanilla than it is in the mod now. But don't let that stop you from trying out the mod. There are some other things in the mod that I think are quite fun. I can do this before he hits me. One of the things is there's shield thorns, and a lot of shield related stuff because, well, it's Saltguard. It's related to shields. Simple as. I died earlier because it switched me to keyboard and mouse, like multiple times. So hopefully it doesn't do that again. Knock on wood. While the mod started out as primarily a shield rebalance mod, I wanted to make parrying better, and so I am just tapping this, but it does hold for about 0.25 seconds or so. So you are forced into a block animation in the mod. This is much more like the original, and if you actually get a parry while you're in this animation, it will completely cancel the animation. It'll just short-circuit it and allow you to go back into whatever you need to be. So if you succeed at a parry, you're not stuck in that animation. If you do a normal block in vanilla, you can roll out of it. So if you do a normal block, it will create a block stun animation. There is a secondary animation to block stun. But you can roll out of it in vanilla. In the mod, however, you can also light attack out of a block. So there's that. And then if you get a perfect block, there's a little twinkle star thing, sparkle, right there you can see. Doesn't work on every single one because I'm mistiming it. We will parry this guy to death, maybe. This shield is special in the mod. It has a very high chance to drop if it is, if you don't have one and you're just starting out. Oof, I missed that one. Let's just take a break there. So yeah, the Skull Vanguard has a built-in Thorns effect This is also acquirable on the new artifact system. If you have any thorns, you get a base thorns reflection. It's only on parry though. It's not on just block. You actually have to succeed. The window's not that bad, but I have not changed the window either. So but otherwise this would take forever because he does no damage, or he doesn't do enough damage to himself with the reflection. So it does do 5, I believe it's 5, maybe it's 6 damage as a base. So as long as you have any Thorns reflection, it does that 5 base damage. It is physical damage, while the Thorns itself is whatever damage they deal. So a lot of mages are going to be resistant. Well, all mages are going to be resistant to the damage that they deal, which makes some of that a little bit bad. But having that 5 base physical in there means that it's at least on par with kind of a dagger. I think a dagger does 6. You do still have to wear this specific shield or have it on your artifacts, and then perfect block. So just an alternate style. It also works on mages to trigger their head attack, their head grapple attack. Yeah, this takes a while. There, let's just get a few hits in. Bring him down to a little bit lower health just to speed this up. Something else to note is heavy attacks in the Salt 1, they did 50% bonus damage as a multiplier, what many and myself call a motion value. And in Salt 2, this motion value was only 1.2 instead of 1.5. Heavy attacks are generally a lot faster, but for whatever reason, a lot of them had a cost of 1.5 stamina, but only did 1.2 damage. So this has been, so to say, corrected in the mod, where... I didn't get the follow-up. It's been corrected in the mod. And, so to say, it's now 1.3 for both of those. So heavy attacks are 1.3 damage, or 1.3 times damage. And, sorry, it's hard to concentrate and talk. Let's finish this guy off real quick here. There we go. Okay. Motion value on heavy attacks is 1.3, and the cost is from 1.5 down to 1.3 as well. So I find this a little more fun. That's just me. It kind of calls back to the first game as well. And a lot of these heavy attacks, they do take some animation time to do. So for the most part, they're about 20% slower. Some of them are a lot slower, but they just weren't living up to their past self and some of their expectations, in my opinion. So the game became a lot about quick attacks and just dodge rolling everywhere, instead of what could have been, which was there could be more some heavy attacks against bosses at least, and more parrying. As you saw, I could parry all of his attacks. Now, a note that a lot of people don't know about this game unless you've really dug into it. When you do a perfect block, it does the blue in little ball shine effect, and that means that you succeeded. However, there is a red colored version of that overlays the blue version and turns it purple. So if you succeed and the target is technically unblockable, like unparryable, which is true for heavier attacks on enemies, it will be red. In the base game, this meant that you actually took extra stagger damage, including... I'm just gonna get rid of all this here. Okay. It meant that you took extra stagger damage, even when parrying. So parrying wasn't free in the base game. It is free in the mod. So instead of taking, like, okay, what do I have for stamina here? In the mod, it is actually increased, but so I'm getting 3 extra stamina from that dagger, but but yeah, you might take like 3 stamina from a parry and 6 stamina from a purple parry, so to say. Wow. A lot of enemy attacks just come out a little bit too fast and a little bit too instant in their hitbox. I don't know. Anyways. I'm going to pause and show some stats here. You do start with 100 health in this mod. You do not gain health per level like the base game. In the base game, you only gain 1 health per level up to level 50. And in the mod, you start with more health. I believe it's 8. No, I think it's 9. I think you start with 91 health in vanilla, and you start with 100 here. So you do get some early base health. The early game becomes a little bit more simple, easier, whatnot. You start with higher stamina, but don't let that trick you. It's just for ratios, actually. You're getting the same regen and stamina and whatnot in total. It's just that the base game had a strange, I believe it was 67 stamina base. So I'm starting with like a little bit more, but it's not actually a meaningful amount, and it's been pre-calculated to not actually give any benefit, as strange as that may sound. That's just how I do things when I'm not trying to actually buff them. But what I'm doing is you have a soft cap of 40. You start with 5 in all stats. So as you level up stamina, you can get 35 stamina, which is a 50% bonus at the soft cap, which is what I was doing there. And then health, you only can gain health from items and from I haven't done this in a while. It's hard to do both. You gain health from items and from vitality. Vitality is a little bit stronger in this. If you max out your vitality, it's kind of a set up goal, preset goal here. So it is a lot like Dark Souls 1. Wow, the constant hits. So if you max out your vitality, again, there's 35 points that you can invest because you already start with 5, and you can go up to 40. Over the course of those 35 points, or sort of say 35 levels, you get around 3.5 health per point, which will put you at plus 125 max health. So kind of similar to Vitality in Dark Souls 1, which is somewhat what I based the numbers on. Just somewhat. In Dark Souls 1, you have a lot of different starting Vitality points. But if you max it out, you typically get around 100% bonus health. Dark Souls 1 is really weird with their Vitality system in that it is not a consistent amount of health per point. It's very based on each level of whatever. I have no idea how they calculated that. I like simpler systems. Something that a lot of players apparently do not know about unless they like really get into this is that if you do damage to the minions, you also do damage to the boss. They have a kind of a linked health system, so that you're always getting progress. Ooh, I don't want to be there. Oh, jeez. Hi, how you doing? Spawn right in on me. I'll just use the sword. So when I do damage to these minions that that the mage spawns, he takes damage too. And it doesn't matter if I'm the one dealing it, or the haze burnt, or the neutral dudes, whatnot. That was a haze burnt right there. As long as you do damage to the minions, you're doing damage to the boss. So you can kind of hunt for items by doing damage to the minions, or you can just ignore the minions to kind of push forward and just not deal with the extra of that. And then when bosses are at half health, not half health bar, but half health, that health bar is actually only half of the maximum health that they can have. So when they're at half health, they're at full health, if that makes sense. But I did enough damage to his minions that he automatically teleported. Ow. Here, let's swap over here and see if we can get him to hit himself. Oh, I wanted him to do that. See if I can parry him a little bit. Let's see, I'm doing like 4 damage. It's not much. Couldn't quite dodge that. There we go. Most mages will do something in melee range as a melee attack. So that makes it so it's actually somewhat easy to force a parry, so to say. Ow. I failed. See if I can do this. In the mod, you can field craft. Your potions. I appreciate this because I just think it feels better. This is one of the reasons why, if you didn't notice, you have reduced potions. Instead of 5, you have 3. And so your maximum is also reduced by 2. Potions are stronger. So instead of doing... Originally, they do 50% of your maximum health in Salt and Sacrifice. And they do that over about 4 seconds. Or 5 seconds, something like that. But in the mod, they do 80% over 4 seconds. And in Salt and Sanctuary, the original, they do 100% over 5 seconds by default. There are some different numbers in there, but that's what they do. They did add fast travel in one of the updates. So I can fast travel to only other totems that obelisks that have this fiery castle top thing. There's typically 2 of these in each region, plus the starting point. So you can get back to the starting point without having to do like a save and quit. And then you can kind of get back to kind of the high and the low point generally of the region. So it's not every single obelisk, but there's typically the starting point, a top point, and a bottom point to the world. I appreciate this to some degree because it doesn't mean that you can just fast travel to every obelisk. There's a lot of obelisks that are really close together, and due to both UI and just in-world experience, I have mixed feelings about fast travel. I like games that don't require it, because as soon as you kind of add in fast travel, a lot of times you end up with requiring that fast travel to function, if you will. So I am a sage. Let's see what my stats are. Oh, that's the wrong button. I do start with 7 Arcana and 1 extra Resolve of 6 as a sage. But that doesn't really bother me. I don't really have a goal here at all. But let's see here. So this gives the equivalent of 2 vitality. So you can see that it's 7.2, which is about 3.6 health. So do I want to go staff? Do I want to just like go great sword on a mage, start as a mage and just do whatever I want? Yes, I kind of do. Okay. We're just going to do whatever we want. You do not need to save your salt for crafting items or upgrading items in this game. It's purely from materials only, so you can just go straight to the level up totem, the shrine here, just level up. You also are guaranteed gray starstones, which are the equivalent of gray pearls in the first game. You get the same amount of gray starstones over the course of the new game cycle in Sacrifice as you would in Salt and Sanctuary. You don't have to explore for them, though, which is something I kind of enjoy in the first game, is being able to explore and kind of find some extra pieces and bits around the world. In the first game, there's actually multiple skill points, black pearls, that are actually after the bosses. So you beat the Sodden Knight, and there's a black pearl right after the boss. You beat the Queen of Smiles, there's a black pearl right after the boss. Alchemist might also have one. And then there's a bunch of gray pearls all over as well. So it just encourages you to do a bunch of stuff with the order of your bosses. It just kind of gives you a guaranteed reward after after some of the early game bosses and such. We are going to be jumping over here to some strength. Great Blade is right there. We will undo this resolve and take this here. Can I use my sword yet? No. Because it is level 2. Okay, we will put back on a staff. I was mentioning that you can craft anywhere in the mod. You can craft anywhere in the original game. However, in the original game, it would only give you ammo and a couple other things. It would not give you health potions. And I kind of envision the game to be a little bit more Monster Hunter. And in doing so, I wanted to do that. And I wanted to buff potions. So by reducing the amount of potions and buffing them and making them more available, it does still take quite a bit of time. Most bosses will absolutely not let you craft a potion in the middle of the fight. But I like the idea of just kind of wandering through the world, more Monster Hunter style, and being able to just function in that form. So I'm going to do a level skip. This is totally intentional. Each world only requires a certain number of named mages. And I see a lot of players smack their faces against the wall trying to beat every single mage in perfect order, and the game isn't really intended that way. It does have a strong co-op encouragement, where a lot of bosses have a lot of area of effect and whatnot, but it's fully beatable, completable in solo play. I'm not going to talk to him because I don't care, but there's a head over there you can talk to. No stagger on this weapon whatsoever. But yeah, the first area only requires one mage, and then you're done. You can just move on. You just have to talk to the tree. And then another tree right up there, too. But he'll say some different things. I am not doing good with that sword. It just doesn't do a whole lot of stagger. This does stagger, but it does reduce damage. That's funny. I bet it doesn't do reduced, I bet it doesn't do reduced stagger, even though I can't wield the weapon. It does reduce damage, though. They do like 1/4 damage, I think it is. I'm pretty sure it's 1/4 damage. I really appreciate this because it means you can actually use the weapon. It just isn't efficient. In the first game, you dropped the weapon, sort of. And, it was a cool animation, but I really appreciate being able to try out a new weapon in this game, specifically for, if you notice back there, I can actually... this weapon is a rage weapon, so that orange bar underneath there, I can cast, or I can enchant the weapon with fire because I hit things. And as I was just talking about, like, field crafting potions, I'll do it again. You can't hold as many herbs. It doesn't go up, it's just 10 at all times. The UI and graphics are a little funky because of how I've messed with things. But this obelisk was right here. I can do it right there as well. I don't see the value, personally, in limiting it only to obelisks when you can do everything else at the same time. You just can't do potions. And since there's enough obelisks, I just figure, why not? Bye. See you later. If you're gonna live in a treehouse, you better watch your step, I guess. Especially if a crazed madman has a giant sword. Okay. So I do 6 damage with the... Oh my gosh. So that hurt. I will often say that the ultimate boss of all Dark Souls games is gravity. And having a toddler as well, I will say it's still true in real life too. Half the time I'm with my toddler, you know, it feels like they're just trying to throw themselves at things. Jump off of things, climb things, you know. Gravity is the final enemy of all things. So. So again, there's another totem right here, right? Now these do act as checkpoints, so if you rest at them, you will respawn at them. They still have a purpose, but just being able to do this, I think, is totally fine. I don't think there's a big difference to it. We're gonna fight this. She's not a lava spider, so it's not the same thing. She does lightning, you see. Therefore, it is different. Pretty sure she's resistant to physical. Yeah, she is. Yeah, she's totally resistant to physical. I do not have the stamina for this weapon. I'm also, like, super underleveled. You know, please don't judge me for... Jump over. There we go. So am I just a rage wizard now? Is that what I've become? Ooh. That was pain. So I think you're supposed to be fighting her around level 8 to 12. I'm also using a weapon that I'm literally not capable of using, so that's fun. But if I wasn't doing something crazy, why am I even playing this? No. I've played this game quite a bit, so it does make sense to do something different. Might be an interesting challenge run. Only use weapons you can't equip. Wonder if I can do this. Ooh, I have one of each. I have no idea what they do. Rage buildup. Damage on parry. Chance of free ammo. I don't remember what the other one was. I'm magic. I can float in the air. I can sting like a bee. And, like, I'm probably... That's all I'm really doing here. You do get quite a bit of bonus damage off of the enchantment. Aw, I thought I could roll there. Yeah, see, I can roll there. But you do get quite a bit of a damage off of the enchantments. Make sure to use them if you have access to them. They do require magic class to use the enchantments. They do not last very long. The fire one here, it deals dot. Oh, mistimed that really bad. That accidental stagger is, interesting, to say the least. Happens in both games, but it does exist there. Okay, let's go see what we picked up from her. Max stamina and rolling speed. We're currently wearing some health per second. Okay, so this is something I haven't talked about, and I didn't want to talk about until I actually started equipping them. I have changed all the artifacts. They're upgradable now. So if you bolster them, they actually upgrade. However, they have to be new artifacts. If they're an old artifact, they will re-roll into a new artifact because the old artifacts use a seed for everything, including their level. So you can't just level them up because that changes the seed, which is kind of what they're already doing. In the mod, I follow some Diablo 2 style mechanics where a single stat artifact is stronger than a dual stat artifact, and that is stronger than a triple stat artifact, and that is stronger than a 4 stat artifact. But the 4 stat artifacts are only 20% weaker than the 1 stat artifact. So you're getting 4 stats at a 20% loss. All artifacts cap out at the same point, though. So you're going to be able to get a higher single stat artifact in new game, where in the late game you might want to focus on more of those epics and legendaries and stuff like that. That's going to come into more like New Game Plus 10. Yeah, the game goes all the way to New Game Plus 10. So a lot of the numbers are different. A lot of the feeling is different. So, for example, damage returned on parry, 11%. So I don't have to use this weapon to get parry damage anymore. That weapon is hard-coded in the mod to do that. It's meant to be like a special flag, as if it's like got splinters and it's a frayed thing. I mean, it's got a jagged sword. Why not a jagged shield? So let's talk about more of this. 11% damage returned on parry. That could be as low as, I think, 7 or 8%, and it can go all the way to probably 13 or 14% at this level. And then as you level it up, it'll have just a little bit more. You will have to potentially bolster them a few times to really get where you want to be. But if you find an artifact, or internally I call them relics, it's easier to say and type for whatever reason to me. But for example, the 0.2 health per second, when I first put that in there, it was a lot higher. And I decided that is way too broken in this game. But it's meant to act much like the Mending Band. It's meant to act exactly like the Mending Band in Salt 1, which in vanilla is 0.25, and in enhanced mode is 1% of your maximum health. But Mending Band required you to give up a ring slot, and a lot of your other stats came from ring slots, so there was this compromise going on. In this game, you can get 4 stats from a single artifact. There's not a lot of compromise going on, and artifacts have their own dedicated slots, and rings and these are called charms. Daggers, rings, and amulets are charms. So you still have your 4, so to say, ring slots on your character, plus these. So this offensive, it has been refactored. There's no bonus to mages, or bonus to minions, or bonus to inquisitors, or bonus to undead. Yes, that's a real bonus to undead, which I think only worked for like 4 enemies, maybe. The mummies, the skeletons. I'm not even sure if it affected the necromancer mage or not. Obviously, rage buildup, probably not the best single stat artifact, but you can see how rage buildup is maintained from the original game. A lot of the numbers are higher as well. So for example, this one, max stamina, 9.8. Some of these numbers probably too high at level 3. These are level 3 artifacts. So max stamina, probably a little bit too strong for level 3. Rolling speed, 14%. Again, probably too strong for a level 3. I haven't been playtesting this mod enough by any means. So obviously, I think rolling speed is probably even better than that, and 9 max stamina is huge. That's like a 15% increase in my stamina. So that can max out at 35, I think. I think it maxes out around 35 or 50. But you do need like a level 40 artifact for that much stamina. And I don't think that's changed from the original game. I don't remember what the actual cap is in the original game. It might be something closer to 2025. But the math in there is a little strange. I can't guarantee that I understand it correctly. The utility artifacts have all sorts of stuff in them. Naturally, they have range damage. Range damage is higher in the mod on the artifact, but it is actually lower on the actual items. So it is a 20% cut. So this normally would be doing something like 24 damage. 24, 25, something in that range. I felt that range damage was a little bit too much damage, and encouraged you to use your ranged weapon too much if you got used to it. As such, I nerfed the default damage for ranged. If I were to really double down and dig into this mod, I'd probably go in and manually edit it more on a class tier basis, so that certain ranged weapons actually have kind of a more sensible damage allocation. But the point is that if I have, switch this over, if I have this attached, equipped, it is still more than double my damage on my weapon. And obviously I'm using a staff with this like short sword thing. It's not meant to do a lot of damage. You're meant to be using your spells. But still, I felt that it's just too much. And so the artifacts have a bonus to them that actually makes up for the damage loss, so that in the late game you can kind of make up for it, but you do have to, focus it in your stats. It's not a big difference in my opinion because range is so strong. But being able to do this anywhere you want, you could already do it with ammunition. But now restocking speed is a new stat on the utility. It has been removed from the amulets that gave it, though. So there was an amulet in the late game, the Chronomancer's amulet, gave 50% restocking speed. It's absolutely insane. This goes up to, I want to say it goes up to 35% restocking speed, but it's available from basically level 0. So moving on here. No, that's a lot of talking. And we get another one of these fast travel totems, so we could, after beating that specific boss, we can now go back to the base, and we can come right back here and do that loop, because that loop is going to lead us right to the first mage of the area, which is the Aeromancer. I find that very helpful, personally. It's more fair, I guess, is the best way to put that, because yeah, you can keep going, but you at least have the ability to have a checkpoint. Checkpoints in the first game, and definitely in something like Dark Souls 1, I think are more fun, where you're kind of looping around and whatnot. So here is another thing that they added in post-release. If you're equipping an item that you cannot use, it will show you where on the screen that you're supposed to be. So you can see, I don't know if you saw it, but right before I Leveled it up. There were 4 arrows pointing at this and saying, hey, level this up. The other thing is with vitality being buffed, let's go find a vitality point. See how it's about 3.5 per point there. With vitality being buffed, going into the Great Blade tree, I think feels better, but also not going into the Great Blade tree and leveling up vitality also feels better. It's no longer required. So a few enemies have their damage nerfed. Haze Burnt specifically have 20% less health and 20% less damage. The Dead Samurai are another targeted nerf. They're in the Temple of 11. I call them Dead Samurai because naturally the Dishwasher series, which Ska Studios also made. But they have a triple attack, and their triple attack does the same damage as their slow forward stab, which naturally you'd think that the slow forward stab would do more damage. So instead of buffing the slow forward stab, because it already does decent damage, I nerfed the triple stab, or the triple slash. This does nerf their normal slash because it's the same slash. But I feel like it makes them feel a lot better. They commonly come at you in 2s and 3s. And when one of them can take you out with a double combo triple slash, or even just a single triple slash, if you're really light armored, it just doesn't feel great. Also, as I mentioned motion values earlier, similar aspects. I do need some magic. Don't I? Don't I need some magic for this weapon? Oh, it's pure strength. Ah, good stuff. I forgot what I was talking about. I looked at the stats instead of... Okay. Now we do 35 damage. That's a lot better than 6, right? I'd like to think so. So now we have 4 potions. Nice little turn in there. You still get the same amount of turn-ins, but it does mean that you get 2 less. So instead of 13 max, you have 11 max potions. I think I still had some points here. Yeah, I did. So I'm just going to go straight into strength and grab level 3 there. So I do have quite a bit of health. You could still roll health here as well. I didn't, but you can. Probably have time to get to the Aeromancer, and that's about it. You do have to do, I think, 3 mages in this region. So that's the Aeromancer. You have to go around to get to it. Much better. This mod isn't necessarily meant to make the game easier, just as a note. It is meant to make it a little bit more streamlined, maybe just a little more balanced. My second Inquisitor tool, Magnuson Supply. Which, if you read that quickly, you might say a magnesium supply. I know I did probably the first time, and I've definitely heard others say it. This is key item. But they're effectively little engine balls, engine stones. So little... They do stuff with the zip lines. They make the zip lines work. You can only put them in on this side that has the tree on it, and not the pole. That seems like it's not working. Oh, no, it's working. There we go. Making sure those heavy attacks actually do heavy damage. A lot of them don't. Weird. We're gonna go back up to this. We could just take the zip line back up, sort of, but not entirely. Pray. It's not open from this side. Okay. Whee! There we go. We get to talk to... Or not talk to. We get to hunt the Aeromancer. Probably one of the least favorite bosses in the early game, especially. For a lot of people. I don't find him that bad. But that is just my opinion. And I can be wrong. I find his summons terrible. But I don't mind him. Tornadoes always move in one direction, so once they start moving, you know where they're going to be. Naturally, great weapons feel great. At least for damage. They're quite slow. You can hit the mages as they're moving like that, by the way. So if you hit like their summons and them all at once... we have to go back this route. So that's a haze burnt. Those have less health and damage because they were really obnoxious. Could have sworn this was supposed to open from this side. But I guess not. Oh yeah, you can also run. Forgot about that. Very handy in actual fights. Oh, that is not what I was trying to do. Try this again. Mages will fight against each other, and they'll kill neutral enemies as well. And the Haze Burnt will also fight them. So, pure chaos. It's real fun. If I spent long-term time on this mod, I would probably turn the tornado into a grab. So that while you're in the tornado, you take a specific amount of damage, basically, during the course of the grab. And you can't really take outside damage at all. That's just how I'd probably code it. Just because it's a hated mechanic of being thrown in the air. I want to face the other way, but thank you for throwing me this way. That was weird. You can go under this platform like we did earlier. We'll activate this. I'm apparently out of his understanding range. His arena is right above us, so he's just going to his arena slowly. Strangely, he goes through the arena and then takes like 2 steps to the left. He actually has to take a certain amount of damage. Again, they technically activate the arena at like half health. Hate these summons. They are the worst. He really loves guarding this hallway if you don't trigger the fight, though. I have been in that situation before. So now he's going to trigger the fight. There we go. I find the fights to be both the best part and the easiest part of any given mage. I don't know if I broke something or if the game broke something, but they're always at 50% health literally now with their health bar. He is resistant to fire, because he is actually, like, fire cold. But he doesn't do much damage. I don't know if that was nerfed after the fact, but I never found him to be very strong, just annoying. And I actually don't mind the staggers and the stuns and such, but I'm also an avid old-school MOBA player. I'm used to being stunned or dead for half the game. Crush his heart. Sorry, Mage devoured. We didn't crush it, we devoured it with our hand. That's how I feel about you. Cyrus, whatever your name is. I shrug at your existence. Break my legs at my own existence. A lot of stuff in here seems to be resistant to either fire or fire, because this is a 100% fire weapon, so only doing 29 means that they have some form of fire resistance. There's a secret up there. Can't quite want to drop through the platform and do this. There we go. So the next boss is down below. I might continue this this video at another time. What do we get? 9.4% all defenses. There was a defensive stat on the artifacts that was like damage reduction. I don't even recall seeing it when I played the game, but it existed. And I've got hundreds of hours in this game between alpha and release. But I just don't remember seeing it spawn very often, and if I did, I didn't understand it, maybe. That's been replaced, and a lot of the intricate fire damage defense and cold damage defense. Those have all been removed for more generic stats. I didn't find a lot of that to be all that interesting, because there's more defenses overall. This also means that there's sort of a weaker light armor thing going on here. This goes up to, I believe, 25% or 20% all defenses, so we've already got half of it at level 3. Probably a little high. But you know, that'll require some playtesting and some game feel there. But the idea is that if you wanted armor, you could do that. If you wanted health, you could just go health, and you can get more health now from an artifact, sort of, as a ratio of how the game works because of how I've changed vitality. Damage return on parry is pretty common, looks like. They're all equal chances of spawning. But yeah, so if you want more defenses, you can go to percentage defense. But this does mean that the defensive bonus here is more targeted towards wearing a lot of armor, and not towards having a flat bonus. Whereas you can get something like max stamina and rolling speed, which I prefer in this case, because, well, if I can get rolling speed and if I can get attack speed on my offensive, I can be really fast. I've already got restocking speed. You can also, there is also now, I'm going to close this video soon, or close my comments and continue the video at another time at least. You can also get casting speed on either the green item or the red item. I can't remember which, but I do believe it's this one. A lot of the offensive stats are in opposition to each other, non-complementary, so you can't just have every offensive bonus ever. The range damage stays over here, but if you want runic damage, it's over here, so you have to find melee damage, runic damage, attack speed, and cast speed all separately, but they're all on the offensive artifact. So you could have a hybrid build where you're like melee damage and runic damage, or you could focus on just like melee damage and attack speed, or a rage build up or whatnot. But there's approximately, I think, 10 or 11 stats per artifact type, and that's intentional. I don't want to bloat the pools, and so like the defensive stats were kind of bloated originally. I think there were 16, probably 16 or so. Wow, he didn't drop anything fire related. Oh, of course he didn't. I'm thinking fire's not. Anyways. So here you go. This increases maximum rage. It doesn't show your rage, but I think it's default of like 10 under the hood. Doesn't show it anywhere, I don't think. So I could wear that and have extra rage. I could wear this and have extra stamina regeneration, which definitely going to do that. And these stack now completely. So I'm going to be messing with that over the course of time, but just for the sake of it, I can afford it. So if you see this, oh, I'm in town, it won't show it. Okay, I didn't get a Pyre Stone from him. That is useful. What did I get from him? Not that one. I got Frostpyre. I got 3 of them, though. It's pretty good. So he's Cold Fire, and thus he can drop both fire and cold Pyre Stones. It's 5 levels right there. That's pretty good. Again, your health doesn't go up in the mod when you level up, so you do have to either take Vitality or go very Glass Cannon, which I think is fine. It means that I can balance the game around you not needing extra health. if the game is balanced around you being able to survive without bonus health, then you can survive extra with bonus health. And that's just my mentality. I feel like that's mostly how Dark Souls 1 does it. There's definitely some later game stuff where you do want some vitality, unless you're just, perfect rolling everything. So we'll just take some extra strength and just keep climbing up here. That requires 3 points of vitality. So maybe I can undo a point down. Whoa, I went way too far. Not paying attention to where I am. We'll just do a leapfrog. Oh, what? Thought I just undid it. There we go. Oh, I was reading that wrong. I had 2 gray starstones and 1 black starstone. Isn't that pretty? I like the stars. Anyways, so that's that for this run. I think there's a couple things I can unlock in this region real quick. And if you get aggressive with your upgrades, you can get some pretty good upgrades. Another thing to note is if you are not full when you're in town of your ammunition or your potions or whatever, and you craft your maximum here, your new your max bonus value, it actually will refill you. So you can manipulate some of that. Probably not intentionally, but it does work that way. Don't remember where I'm supposed to start. It's probably over here. So we have this, and we have this. You can open this door and jump over here, and you're always capable of getting, I believe, 3 tokens from every faction, which will, I think, give you access to like 1 thing. Smaller things, though. I love the sound effect of that and the feeling of it. So smooth. I don't know why one is like a purple pickup and the other one's totally not. There it is. There's Runic Art's cast speed. So it's just attack speed for Runic Arts. I've had some people say it's just absolutely crazy broken. So I may need to nerf it, but it might be more in a mechanical sense than a otherwise. We did pull a level 10 artifact out of there. Don't ask me why they give you a level 10 artifact in that room, but they just did. This one's also level 10. So, max health, max focus, and max stamina. It's more max stamina and max health. I'm just super tanky, I guess. Anyways, we'll call it good for now. And until next time, hope you enjoyed. As for the channel, before I go, I am taking a step back from the channel a little bit. I'm going to try to get a video out every week or two instead of like 2 or 3 videos a week. I've been away for, 4 or 5 weeks now. I am working on a somewhat major project, as well as I'm just kind of busy in my daily life, that things have changed for my time commitments to the channel. And I'm kind of moving away from, say, the Diablo 2 mod. If you want to play the mod as it is, come to the Discord channel. It's linked in the account, in the YouTube account below. Just ask for it. I can give you a package. It's not complete, but it is playable. If you've seen my other videos about Diablo 2 and that mod, the distilled mod. If you want this mod, it's up on Nexus Mods. Also, you're welcome to discuss bugs, issues, whatnot on the Nexus Mods channel. but I don't go there, forum page, but I don't go there very often. I don't check it out very often. If you want to reach me, I am much more available within Discord, especially within the green room, the back room, so to say, my special channel or server, or whatever you want to call it, for this mod, as well as the Diablo mod, as well as other projects, upcoming projects. But I am currently, one of the projects I'm working on is I'm working on my first actual game release. Not sure what it's going to look like in the long run. And it's not some kind of get rich scheme either. So looking to just have a small game, and I'll show it off when it gets to be a point that it makes sense to show off. But until then, I'm not going to discuss it too much. It's just not very pretty and not very interesting probably yet. So it's going to take a while. Games are hard to make, especially if you want to make something large. And so again, thank you for sticking around this long, and hope you come back for another episode. I'll keep going with this character off and on. It's something to do. It's something to post. Yeah, so stay tuned.